Hi Aquarius, how's it going? I hope you're doing wonderful today. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. My name is Lynn, and this is going to be a general reading. I've already cleared the energy of the cards, and I asked 10 questions. I asked Spirit 10 questions, and these are the cards that came out for you for the answers. So it's a general reading. Just take what resonates, leave the rest. Let me know. Let me know how it goes too. I would love to hear from you. So the first question I asked Spirit was, what energy? What energy is Aquarius currently bringing into this situation that they may not fully recognize? Okay, so don't mind my nails. I gotta fix them after this. They're all chipped. But anyways, what energy are you currently bringing into this situation that you may not fully recognize? And you got the Eight of Pentacles. So this card suggests that you're bringing a strong energy of dedication, refinement, and steady effort. Even if you're more focused on the end goal than on even if you're more focused on the end goal than on recognizing how much work you're actually putting in. Okay? So you may think you're just doing what needs to be done, but others could see you as the person holding things together through persistence and attention to detail. Okay? You're contributing consistency. You're in a learning phase or a mastery phase. Okay? You're in a learning or mastery phase. You may not realize that you're developing an important skill, strengthening a relationship, or building a foundation that will pay off later. Your growth is happening through repetition and practice rather than dramatic breakthroughs. You're showing commitment through actions rather than words. Aquarius, you often operate from ideas and vision, but this card highlights tangible effort. You may not recognize how much your reliability is influencing the situation. You could be underestimating your craftsmanship. The Eight of Pentacles is about improving something piece by piece. You may be focused on what's still imperfect rather than appreciating the quality of what you've already created. And the shadow side of this card, you may be so absorbed in fixing or perfecting or working on the situation that you don't realize how much energy you're investing. There can be a tendency to focus on the task while overlooking emotional dynamics. So this card is telling me you're bringing a dedicated, hardworking energy into this situation, whether you realize it or not. You're contributing through consistency, effort, and a willingness to improve what isn't working. The energy isn't flashy, but it's creating long-term results. The challenge is recognizing that not everything requires more work. Sometimes acknowledging how far you've already come is part of the lesson. Then the second question I asked Spirit is, what lesson is this challenge trying to teach Aquarius right now? And you got the Seven of Cups. So what lesson is this challenge trying to teach you, Aquarius, right now? So this card shifts the focus from effort with the Eight of Pentacles to discernment and clarity. This card suggests that you're being taught how to distinguish between possibilities and realities, dreams and actionable choices, or wishful thinking and genuine intuition. You may be facing multiple options or ideas or paths or emotional possibilities. The challenge is teaching you that not every opportunity deserves your energy. You're learning to become more selective about where you invest your time and effort. Okay? This is the lesson of clarity. This card also shows up when there's an abundance of potential, but a lack of commitment to one direction. This is the lesson of choice. You don't need more options, you need a decision. You could be learning that progress requires choosing one path instead of remaining attached to every possibility. This card can point to fantasies, projections, assumptions, or unrealistic expectations. This is the lesson of illusion versus truth. So the challenge may be asking you, what are you seeing clearly, or what are you imagining, or what evidence supports your beliefs? There may be a need to separate your intuition from fear or hope or idealization. The Eight of Pentacles says you are already putting in substantial effort and building something through dedication. And this card says the lesson is learning where that effort should actually go. So you may have many dreams or options or distractions around you, but this challenge is teaching you to focus your energy on what is real, achievable, and aligned rather than scattering your efforts across too many possibilities. This challenge is teaching you the power of clarity and intentional choice. There may be many options or dreams or competing visions appearing right now, but not all of them are meant to be pursued. The lesson is to trust discernment over fantasy, focus over distraction, and commitment over endless possibility. What you choose to dedicate your energy to now has the potential to grow, but first you must become clear about what truly deserves your investment. What Spirit is saying is stop trying to build every dream at once. Choose the one that aligns most deeply and then master it. And then your third question the third question I asked Spirit was, what is Aquarius holding on to that is preventing their growth? And you got the Six of Wands. So what are you holding on to that is preventing your growth? This card points to the shadow side of success, recognition, and validation. So this card is saying that you may be holding on to the need for external validation. You may be placing too much weight on being seen, acknowledged, appreciated, or proven right. You may be waiting for confirmation from others before fully trusting yourself or moving forward. So the lesson here could be, Aquarius, your worth is not dependent on applause. Hang on one second. I love that for you. So basically growth may require acting from inner conviction rather than seeking recognition. Okay? Growth may require acting from inner conviction rather than seeking recognition. This card can represent a previous success. You may be unconsciously holding on to an old identity, achievement, a relationship dynamic, or a version of yourself that once brought praise. There's an attachment to a past victory. So the challenge becomes, who are you when you're no longer trying to maintain a previous image of success? Okay, who are you when you're no longer trying to maintain a previous image of success? Sometimes growth requires releasing what once worked so something new can emerge. Because the Six of Wands is associated with winning, You may be avoiding risks that could lead to growth because you don't want to appear unsuccessful or make mistakes or lose credibility. There's a fear of failure here, or a fear of losing status. So this can create a situation where you stay where you're comfortable, or you choose what looks successful over what feels authentic, or you hesitate to begin as a beginner again. This card can sometimes indicate being focused on the reward or recognition or final result rather than the process itself. It's about wanting the outcome more than the journey. And this connects beautifully with the Eight of Pentacles, which is about craftsmanship and dedication. So the cards may be saying you grow most when you focus on the work itself, not on who notices it. So we have what you're bringing, Aquarius, in this reading. What this reading is saying that you're bringing is dedication and consistent effort, and you're building and mastering something. What the challenge is teaching is clarity, discernment, and choosing what truly matters. And what's blocking your growth is attachment to recognition, or being concerned with how things appear, or holding on to a previous definition of success. You're showing up with determination and a willingness to put in the work, but the challenge you're facing is teaching you to cut through confusion and become clear about what you truly want. What's holding you back is an attachment to external validation or past victories or a need for recognition. So Spirit is asking you to focus less on being seen and more on being aligned. The next stage of growth comes from choosing authenticity over approval and purpose over praise. Together, these cards create a theme of mastery through focus. So you're being encouraged to stop measuring success by outside responses and instead trust the value of the path you're intentionally building. I love that for you. And then the fourth question, just changing the fourth question that I asked Spirit is, what should Aquarius focus on over the next 3 months to align with their highest potential? And you got the King of Cups reversed. So what should you focus on over the next 3 months to align with your highest potential? And this card suggests that the focus is not on external achievements, but on emotional mastery, emotional honesty, and inner balance. When this King of Cups comes out in the upright position, He represents someone who is emotionally mature, calm, compassionate, and in control of their feelings without suppressing them. But it came out reversed today in this reading, and this can indicate emotional imbalance, avoidance, repression, moodiness, or allowing emotions to influence decisions from behind the scenes. So basically what this card is saying, Aquarius, is that you should focus on emotional awareness. Emotional awareness. You're often associated with intellect, logic, and future-oriented thinking. This card may be encouraging you to pay closer attention to your emotional world rather than analyzing it from a distance. Okay? What emotions are you avoiding? What feelings keep resurfacing because they haven't been fully processed? Are you intellectualizing something that needs to be felt? This card doesn't necessarily mean you're overly emotional, but it can point to the opposite. You've been keeping emotions contained for so long that they begin influencing your behavior indirectly. This is a card of regulating rather than suppressing. Okay? Have you been keeping your emotions contained for so long that they've been influencing your behavior indirectly? Spirit is saying the focus may be to feel your emotions without letting them control your decisions. Have healthy boundaries. The reverse King of Cups can sometimes show emotional overextension or people pleasing, or carrying emotional burdens that don't belong to you. So over the next 3 months, you may benefit from examining where you're giving too much or where you're absorbing others' emotions or where you need stronger boundaries. This card is asking you to align with what you feel, what you know, and what you express. If there are unspoken truths or unresolved hurts or emotional inconsistencies, bringing them into awareness could be a major growth opportunity. This can be a card of emotional integrity. So Aquarius, you're already putting in the work. You're learning discernment and clarity. You need to release attachment to validation and recognition. And this card is saying your highest potential comes through emotional maturity, self-awareness, and inner alignment. You have the discipline to build what you want, but your next level of growth isn't about working harder. It's about becoming emotionally clear. The more you release the need for outside approval, the easier it becomes to hear your own emotional truth. So over the next 3 months, focusing on emotional balance, honest self-reflection and healthy boundaries will help you align with your highest potential. Okay? Spirit is saying over the next 3 months, you're being called inward. This is a time to understand rather than suppress emotions, to create balance where there has been avoidance, and to strengthen emotional boundaries. The greatest alignment won't come from achieving more or proving anything to anyone. It will come from developing a deeper relationship with your own emotional truth. As you learn to trust what you genuinely feel, clarity increases, just distractions fall away, and the path ahead becomes much easier to navigate. One thing that stands out across all 4 cards is that you start with a strong focus on effort and achievement, but then the reading gradually shifts toward clarity and emotional intelligence. The overall message feels less like do more and more like understand yourself more deeply before deciding your next move. I think that's a message you should write down. Okay? Understand yourself more deeply before deciding your next move. And then the 5th card, the 5th question, I asked Spirit, what hidden influence is affecting this relationship? And you got the High Priestess. So again, the question I asked Spirit is, what hidden influence is affecting this relationship? So this card is about what is not being said, not being shown, or not yet consciously acknowledged, but is still strongly shaping the dynamic underneath everything. Something important is sitting beneath the surface of the relationship. It may not be deception in a malicious sense, but rather feelings are not being expressed, or intentions are not clarified, or questions are not being asked, or intuition is not being acted on. There's an energetic sense that both parties already know more than they are saying out loud. Okay? This card can represent the hidden influence of unspoken truths. The High Priestess can show up when one or both people are relying heavily on intuition or assumptions or subtle emotional cues instead of direct communication. It's intuition versus confirmation. So the hidden influence could be what is felt is stronger than what is spoken. This can create a situation where both people are responding to unspoken signals rather than clear conversations. There may be a natural sense of emotional reserve here. Not necessarily coldness, but privacy. There could be emotional distance or mystery. Someone may be holding back their full truth, or observing rather than engaging, or they're waiting for the right moment that never fully arrives. This can create attraction, but also uncertainty or confusion. On a more spiritual level, the High Priestess can point to a deep, almost subconscious connection, a subconscious pull, or a spiritual bond. Something about this relationship may feel faded or hard to define, or emotionally intuitive or telepathic. Or it may feel difficult to articulate logically. But the key is not everything in this connection is fully conscious yet. Effort is being put in. Outwardly, there's practical energy. There's confusion, multiple emotional possibilities, a need for validation or fear around perception. There's emotional imbalance or unexpressed feelings. And the reason underneath all of it is things are not being fully communicated or consciously processed. There's more happening beneath the surface than either person is openly acknowledging. The hidden influence in this relationship is the presence of unspoken truths and intuitive knowing that has not yet been brought into clear communication. One or both people may be relying on emotional perception rather than direct conversation, creating a sense of mystery or distance or uncertainty. What is not being said is shaping the dynamic as much as what is being expressed. Until this becomes consciously acknowledged, the connection will continue to feel intuitive but unclear. This is not a lack of effort or interest. It's not a lack of potential. The Seven of Cups shows too much potential, not too little. The Eight of Pentacles shows that effort is present. The central issue is emotional clarity and communication are lagging behind intuitive awareness. The High Priestess basically confirms that the real story of the relationship is happening underneath words, not within them. And then the sixth question I asked Spirit is, what strengths does Aquarius possess that they are underestimating? And you got the Six of Swords reversed. So what strength do you possess that you are underestimating? This card points to a very specific kind of strength. It's emotional endurance in transition and the ability to navigate difficult mental or emotional states without fully giving yourself credit for. So what I mean, Aquarius, is the strength you're underestimating is staying power through mental or emotional turbulence. When this card comes out upright, it's about moving away from difficulty toward calmer waters. When it comes out reversed, it suggests not fully leaving a difficult situation yet, or lingering in uncertainty or transition, or going back and forth mentally or emotionally. So as a strength, this card is saying you are more resilient in ongoing emotional complexity than you realize. You may feel like you're stuck in it, but the deeper truth is you are enduring and processing what others might avoid entirely. This card is about not avoiding the hard process. Even if it feels uncomfortable or slow, you're not rushing past something important. This can show someone who keeps revisiting the situation for understanding, or someone who refuses to mentally bypass unresolved feelings, or someone who stays engaged with what needs to be integrated. That's actually a strength of psychological persistence. This card is about emotional carry through. This card can also point to carrying emotional weight longer than necessary. You have the capacity to hold complexity without shutting down or escaping too quickly. You may underestimate how much emotional endurance that actually takes. Okay? You may underestimate how much emotional endurance that actually takes. Sometimes this card, the Six of Swords reversed, appears when someone could move on superficially, but doesn't because something still feels unresolved. So the strength here is not settling for premature closure, or not forcing yourself into I'm fine energy, or staying honest with your internal process, even if it's messy. There's a resistance to false peace. The shadow you don't see as strength, you may interpret this energy as being stuck or overthinking, or not moving forward fast enough, or repeating patterns. You're not failing to move on. You're refusing to leave something unresolved behind. So far the Spirit is saying you keep working through things steadily. There's mental, emotional complexity. You're letting go of external validation pressures. Emotional processing is still unfolding. There's unspoken internal knowing. And this card is saying you're still in transition, but deeply engaged in it. You're not weak in transition. You are actually staying with it long enough to understand it properly. You're underestimating your ability to sit with emotional and mental transition without abandoning the process. Even if it feels like stagnation or overthinking, there is strength in your refusal to rush closure or escape discomfort. You are working through something that requires patience, and your persistence is staying present with unresolved emotions. This is actually what will eventually lead you to clarity and resolution. So this card reframes what might feel like stuck energy into you're in a prolonged integration phase, and your strength is your willingness to not bypass it. Your seventh question is, what is the next best step for Aquarius in their career or life purpose? And you got the Knight of Pentacles. So what is the next best step for you, Aquarius, in your career or your life purpose? This is one of the clearest, most grounded cards you could get for that question. It's essentially saying slow, steady, committed action is the move now, not acceleration, not reinvention, not waiting for inspiration. The next best step is to build consistency, not momentum. The Knight of Pentacles is not about bursts of energy. It's about showing up repeatedly, even when nothing feels dramatic or exciting. The next best step for you, Aquarius, is to pick the path or system or project that is already in front of you and commit to it daily. Not the flashiest option, the most sustainable one. Focus on one direction. This ties directly into your earlier cards, especially the Seven of Cups. The Knight of Pentacles is the antidote to scattered energy. The message here is stop exploring for now, stop expanding your options, and start building depth in one chosen direction. Even if it feels too simple, that simplicity is the point. This is a card that's about, this card represents mastery through repetition. This knight doesn't rush. He learns through repetition, refinement, patience, real world experience. So he's the Knight of Pentacles is saying you're being guided toward becoming reliable in your craft, skill, or chosen path. Not just interested in it. I think that is a message you should definitely make a note of. I'm just making it my own note. This is another really good gift from Spirit. Okay, wonderful, thank you. Take responsibility for the process. This is a no shortcuts card. It's asking you to take full ownership of your progress. And that includes the boring phases or the slow progress or the lack of immediate recognition. It connects strongly to your earlier Eight of Pentacles. Effort is already happening, but now it needs structure and long-term commitment. You already know how to work and improve, but there may be too many options. There's mental and emotional scattering. You need to release the need for external validation. Emotional clarity is still developing beneath the surface. You're going through a slow internal transition. And this card is telling you to choose one grounded path and stick to it. You're not being asked to find something new. You're being asked to commit to something real and stay consistent long enough for it to become meaningful. The next step for you is steady, committed action in one direction. This is a phase of building, not chasing inspiration or exploring multiple paths. Success comes from consistency, patience, and showing up even when progress feels slow. The path forward is not about speed or excitement, but reliability and long-term mastery. What you commit to now has the potential to become deeply solid over time, but only if you resist the urge to switch directions prematurely. This card is telling you to choose, commit, and build slowly without distraction. This is the lock-in card of the reading. And then the 8th question is, I asked Spirit, what patterns keep repeating in Aquarius's life and how can they break or transform it? And you got the 3 of Swords. So I ask Spirit again, what pattern keeps repeating in your life, Aquarius, and how can you break or transform it? And you got the Three of Swords. So this card points to a cycle centered around emotional pain, disappointment, or heart level truth that hasn't been fully processed or integrated. So the repeating pattern is emotional wounding that isn't fully released. This card is often about heartbreak, betrayal, grief, or emotional truth that hurts when fully acknowledged. In a repeating pattern position, it could suggest you may be cycling through situations where emotional pain is felt but not fully resolved. So this can show up as you revisiting similar emotional wounds in different relationships or contexts. Or you're encountering situations that reopen old pain. Or you're feeling hurt, but you're moving forward before fully processing it. And given your earlier cards with the King of Cups reversed and the High Priestess, this becomes even more important. There's an avoidance of full emotional processing. So the pattern may be feeling deeply but not expressing it fully, or intellectualizing pain instead of sitting with it, or staying functional while emotionally unhealed. So the cycle becomes pain, then suppression or detachment, then continuation, and then re-triggering. There may be misalignment in expectations or communication. This card can also reflect misunderstandings, misaligned expectations, or unspoken truths. So maybe you're assuming clarity where there isn't any, or you're not asking the hard questions, or you're avoiding emotional honesty until it hurts later. So, how you can break or transform this? The answer is honest, emotional acknowledgement, not avoidance. The way out is not to think differently, but to fully acknowledge what hurts without minimizing it or rushing past it. Feel instead of suppress. Name the emotions clearly and stop managing emotions solely internally. Speak the truth earlier. The High Priestess shows intuition and unspoken knowing. This card says that silence eventually becomes pain. So the transformation comes from expressing feelings sooner, or asking direct questions instead of assuming, or not waiting for certainty before communicating. Allow healing instead of productivity. This is important given the Knight of Pentacles and the Eight of Pentacles energy in your reading. It's saying that you may default to working through pain or staying busy or improving yourself instead of feeling grief. But this card says healing is not something you work through, it's something you allow. This card points to breaking the cycle of emotional delayed reaction. The pattern may not be that you don't feel, it's that you may feel later when it has already built up. So the transformation is feeling things in real time, or not postponing emotional processing, or not waiting until it becomes overwhelming. The root is an emotional wound underneath it all. You're not repeating failure, you're repeating unprocessed emotional experiences in different forms. The pattern isn't bad decisions, it's unhealed emotional interpretation loops. The repeating pattern in your life is emotional pain that is not fully processed at the time it occurs. This can lead to similar situations resurfacing until the underlying emotional truth is acknowledged and released. The key to breaking this cycle is honest emotional expression, earlier communication, and allowing yourself to fully feel and integrate pain instead of intellectualizing or postponing it. Healing comes not through avoidance or productivity, but through emotional honesty and presence with what hurts. This card is the emotional turning point of the whole reading. Everything before it shows how you operate. Effort, analysis, intuition, persistence. This card reveals the emotional reason those patterns keep looping. Basically, Spirit is saying the transformation is simple but not easy. You need to feel it fully, name it clearly, and don't delay emotional truth until it becomes pain again. The 9th question I ask Spirit is, what does Aquarius need to know about the path they are currently considering? And you got the Magician reversed. So what do you need to know about the path you are currently considering? And you got the Magician reversed. This is a strong caution card, but not in a don't do it way. It's more about how energy is being used, what is or isn't grounded, and whether intention matches capacity right now. So what you need to know about the path, this card is about, points to misalignment between intention and execution. The Magician upright is about clear manifestation, thought and will and action and resources aligned. But when it comes out reversed, it suggests something is off in that chain. So it could mean that the idea or vision may be strong, but the follow-through energy is not fully stabilized yet. Okay, so Again, Spirit is saying your vision or your idea may be strong, but the follow-through energy is not fully stabilized yet. It's not that the path is impossible, it's that something about how it's being approached is currently unbalanced. This card could point to scattered power or inconsistent focus. Given your earlier Seven of Cups and Knight of Pentacles, this is very important. This card, the Magician reversed, often shows trying to do too many things at once, or starting without completing, or shifting direction before mastery develops, or leaking energy through doubt, distraction, or overthinking. So the message becomes, the potential is real, but focus is not fully consolidated. This card can also point to self-doubt or overcompensation. It could be saying that maybe you're not ready. Maybe you're saying to yourself, I'm not ready. There's self-doubt or hesitation there. Or I can make anything happen, like being overconfident without any structure. Either extremes creates imbalance. So this card is saying that your path requires calibrated realism. This card also points to a lack of grounding in tools or skills. The Magician uses tools, skills or knowledge or timing or resources. So when it comes out reversed, it could indicate that you're still missing one key skill or resource, or you're underestimating what's required, or you're not yet fully integrating what's already being learned. This card is saying that the skill building is happening, but it may not yet be fully consolidated into confidence. This card is a reality check. You're learning and building skill, slow, steady path is correct. Too many possibilities, external validation, distractions, intuition but not fully spoken truth, emotional grounding still in process, emotional pattern needing healing. And this card, don't overestimate readiness or scatter your energy. Aquarius, this card is saying you're not lacking potential, you're being asked to use it more precisely. Really, really good. You're being asked to use it more precisely. You're trying to, focus your energy. The potential is there, but you need to use it. Focus before manifestation. What the path is really asking for is for you to focus before manifestation. Not everything needs to be activated right now. The energy is calling for refinement before expansion. What do you actually what do you actually have mastered versus what are you still learning? Do an honest inventory. Where are you trying to perform capability instead of building it? Stop splitting your energy. Scattered attention equals diluted results. The magician reversed says the path works only when energy is unified. The path you are considering contains real potential, but it requires clarity, focus, and grounded skill application. At present, there may be scattered energy, uncertainty, or inconsistency in execution. This is not a sign of failure, but a reminder that manifestation requires alignment, not just intention. The next step is to consolidate skills, simplify focus, and ensure that actions match the vision with consistency and discipline. You don't lack ability or potential. The lesson is precision, emotional clarity, and disciplined focus before expansion. And then the last card, I asked Spirit, what does Aquarius's future self most want them to hear today? And you got the Eight of Cups. So the question again is, what message does your future self most want you to hear today? This is a very clear, emotionally mature message. Are you ready, Aquarius? Your future self's message is, it's time to leave what no longer feels fulfilling, even if it still looks acceptable on the surface. You already know what's not working. The Eight of Cups is rarely about confusion. It's about recognition followed by reluctance or delay. So your future self is essentially saying, stop waiting for more proof. You already feel what needs to be left behind. This connects strongly to your earlier cards, the High Priestess and the King of Cups reversed, as well as the Three of Swords. There's emotional awareness present, but it hasn't fully been acted on. This card points to emotional fulfillment over emotional investment. You're realizing something may have required effort, but is no longer emotionally satisfying. So the message is, don't stay just because you've invested time, energy, or emotion. This is a release of sunk cost attachment. And remember, walking away is growth, not failure. The Eight of Cups is not dramatic. It's quiet, deliberate departure. So your future self is reframing the situation. It's telling you leaving is not loss. Staying out of obligation is the real loss. It echoes your Six of Swords reversed, which showed lingering in transition. Now the instruction is to actually complete the transition. This card points to choosing emotional truth over comfort or familiarity. This ties the whole spread together. You have been shown effort, confusion, validation issues, emotional suppression, intuition without expression, lingering transition, heartbreak pattern, and then scattered manifestation energy. And now your future self says, stop managing the situation and start choosing your emotional truth. This card is the turning point of action versus awareness. Everything before this showed awareness of imbalance, or awareness of emotional truth, or awareness of confusion and misalignment. The Eight of Cups is the moment where awareness becomes action. So the message from your future self is, you already understand more than you're acting on. What you're sensing emotionally is accurate, even if you've been trying to rationalize or manage it. The path forward requires you to walk away from what no longer brings emotional fulfillment. This is not a loss. It is a necessary step toward alignment. Your future is not built by staying loyal to what drains you, but by choosing what truly resonates with your emotional truth, even if it means letting go. This is not a fix-it situation. It's not a work harder situation. It's not a figure it out mentally situation. It's a release what no longer aligns emotionally situation. So the story your reading tells is, you're putting in effort, but your focus is scattered. Emotional clarity is lacking or suppressed. External validation is being outgrown. Something is unspoken but felt. Emotional pain is repeating. Slow, steady effort alone isn't enough anymore. Manifestation energy is misaligned. And your future self says, walk away from what you know. Walk away from what you already know is no longer right for you emotionally. Focus, choose one path, face your emotions, and let go of what no longer fulfills you. So that is your reading, Aquarius. That's pretty intense. Don't feel guilty to do what's right for you, Aquarius. We only have one life, okay? You have to be true to yourself. You have to be your true, authentic self. Because if you don't, it throws everything, the whole puzzle out of whack. Things won't click into place. You know, you do what's right for you, and that'll make the other person do what's right for them, hopefully, and or the job or the situation or whatever it means to you. It'll mean different for everybody, but let go of what no longer fulfills you. Do what's best for you. Take care, Aquarius. Thank you so much for letting me do this reading for you today. I'm really grateful. Sending you lots of love and strength. Take care. Bye.